Assalamualaikum, I'm Sarish. You are watching Learn English Edu45 on YouTube channel. So today we start with the first chapter of second part. So let's start. What is productivity? Productivity is basically the utterances of human language continuously combining the building bricks of language in our new ways. Whether these sounds be words or sentences, human languages are therefore continuously evolving. So this is the end of productivity. So let's start with the cultural transmission. Basically, what is cultural transmission and how the child adopt this cultural transmission? This is basically the languages are acquired by our children. The assumption that there are no genetic component, although Noam Chomsky challenges this with his theory universal grammar, which would be enable a child to simply start speaking, for example, English at a certain age, but rather that children need to be exposed to a language and culture in order to acquire. So basically, the children adopted their language from the adults, from the parents. So here are the examples about that. If a Korean parent, if a Korean child born in a Korea and Korean parents but then adopted by French parents, in French will tend to grow up speaking French at his or her first language, not Korea, because French parents adopted Korea child. So the second example, many animals, however, do seem to pass the ability to communicate on to their offspring genetically. For example, if we talk about cats and dogs, dogs will bark even if they have never heard another dog because they know how to bark, but there is no language about at all. So next definition is about duality. Duality is basically the two languages working together. When we combine, when we talk about two languages, the pool of sounds which can be combined to communicate with one another. Language, identity and culture, all these are the duality. If we talk about unlimited discrete sounds easily, there are 44 phonemes in English, which is isolation, have no inherent meaning. For example, b in simply b, I or n. So this is the utilization and memory of the person. We have a virtually unlimited number of distinct meanings which can create by combining these sounds in certain ways. For example, bin or nib. Various other combinations such as bini are not meaningful in English but could possibly in other languages. These are the differences between reflexiveness and discreteness. So here are the reflexiveness. A further feature of human language is reflexiveness, which means that we are able to use the language to talk about language, which is typically what linguistics do. If we talk about discreteness, is also something that is said to distinguish human languages from one form to another. Animal communication. If we talk about native speaker, basically native speaker, the sound of a language differs sufficiently from one another for a native speaker to distinguish them and thereby know what sign with which meaning is being used at any one another. Language and the brain. If we talk about the language and the brain, so in this those roots are situated in cognitive skill, evaluation of a brain. We do not know exactly when our ancestors began to speak. Estimates vary from 30,000 to 100,000 years ago, or even what triggered them to do so. But once they started, there was none stopping them for much humble beginnings. The 5,000 to 6,000 languages we assume to exist today has evolved. you about the research, mainly language aphasia has been able to show there are two major areas of brain specialized in language spoken production and comprehension: Broca and Wernicke's area, situated in left hemisphere and named after the two physicians who first discovered them in the 19th century. So this is the end of my lecture. If you like this video, please subscribe my channel and support me.